In 2001, Kordell Stewart led the Steelers to a 13-3 record, made the Pro Bowl, and was named Team MVP. Then, just 1 year later, he was benched. 2 years later, out of Pittsburgh. Forgotten. So what happened? The truth is, Stewart didn't fail as a quarterback. Football failed him. He was a prototype, a dual-threat quarterback the NFL wasn't ready for. To understand why he was cast aside and why today's quarterbacks owe him a debt, we need to go back to the beginning. Before the NFL tried to turn Stewart into something he wasn't, he changed the game in ways nobody had ever seen. Here's how Slash was born, and why that nickname doesn't even begin to cover what he was capable of. In 1995, the Pittsburgh Steelers drafted a player so versatile that legendary commentator Myron Cope had to invent a new nickname just to describe what he was watching. Cope called him Slash, because Kordell Stewart played quarterback/wide receiver/running back. The name stuck because Stewart truly unraveled defensive game plans in ways no existing term could capture. He wasn't just a quarterback who could run or a receiver who threw trick passes. Stewart was something the NFL had never seen before, a player who genuinely excelled at 3 different positions within the same game. The Steelers used Stewart in ways that broke every rule about how football positions worked. In his rookie season, he lined up behind center to throw passes, split wide to catch balls, and took handoffs in the backfield to run. Defensive coordinators watched film of Stewart and struggled to categorize what they were seeing. In his rookie season alone, Stewart threw a touchdown, caught a touchdown, and ran one in, all while averaging 15 yards per catch and nearly 6 yards per carry. This wasn't a gadget guy. This was a triple threat. He didn't just blur the lines between positions. He erased them entirely. NFL teams had no playbook for defending a player who could line up anywhere and do anything. When Stewart took the field, defensive coordinators had to invent new packages for every formation Stewart used. If they prepared for him as a quarterback, he would line up as a receiver and torch their secondary. If they treated him like a running back, he would drop back and throw over their heads. If they defended him as a receiver, he would take a direct snap and run wild. The impact was immediate and devastating for Pittsburgh's opponents. Stewart's versatility became the catalyst for an 8-game winning streak that carried the Steelers into Super Bowl 30. During this run, his ability to create mismatches forced defenses into impossible decisions. Teams couldn't substitute personnel fast enough to match his position changes. When Stewart motioned from the backfield to a receiver spot, linebackers had to cover him, or safeties had to rotate down. Either choice created vulnerabilities elsewhere that the Steelers exploited ruthlessly. Traditional NFL thinking treated positional boundaries as sacred. Players were quarterbacks or receivers or running backs, not some combination of all 3. The league operated on the principle that specialization created perfection. Teams drafted players for specific roles and developed them within narrow parameters. Stewart shattered this thinking by proving that versatility could be more valuable than specialization. He forced the entire league to question assumptions they had never challenged before. The fan excitement and media buzz around Stewart's revolutionary approach reached unprecedented levels. Pittsburgh fans had never seen anything like him, and neither had anyone else. Television broadcasts struggled to explain what Stewart was doing because they lacked the vocabulary to describe his role. Analysts coined new phrases trying to capture his impact. The novelty of watching a player excel at multiple positions within the same drive captured imaginations across the country. This versatility that made Stewart special would eventually become the very thing that complicated his career. The NFL couldn't decide what he was supposed to be. Was he a quarterback who sometimes played other positions? Or was he a utility player who sometimes threw passes? The league's inability to categorize Stewart created expectations that no human could meet. September 24th, 1994, Michigan Stadium. The Colorado Buffaloes trailed the Wolverines 26-21 with 6 seconds left on the clock. Stewart took the snap, rolled right under pressure, and launched a 64-yard Hail Mary that sailed over defenders, was deflected in the air, and landed in Michael Westbrook's hands for the game-winning touchdown. Colorado won 27-26 in what became known as the Miracle at Michigan, and Stewart had delivered the most clutch performance of his career when it mattered most. That throw made him a legend. The NFL saw a liability. This wasn't a lucky throw from an average player. Stewart's college career at Colorado was record-breaking in every sense. He finished with 6,481 passing yards and 33 touchdown passes while adding 1,289 rushing yards and 15 touchdowns on the ground. His dual-threat ability made him impossible to contain. Colorado posted a 27-5-1 record with Stewart as the starter. a winning percentage that proved his ability to lead teams to victory. He guided the Buffaloes to 2 top 10 regular season finishes and victories in the 1993 Aloha Bowl and 1995 Fiesta Bowl, where he earned offensive MVP honors. Stewart's natural leadership and clutch gene were undeniable. He performed his best when the stakes were highest, delivering game-changing plays that decided outcomes. His improvisational style allowed him to create something from nothing, turning broken plays into touchdowns and desperate situations into victories. Colorado fans watched him routinely escape pressure, extend plays with his legs, and find receivers downfield when conventional pocket passing would have failed. This dynamic approach made him a proven winner at the college level. The NFL saw something completely different. League executives and coaches viewed Stewart through the lens of rigid expectations about how quarterbacks should look, act, and play. The traditional NFL quarterback was a pocket passer who stood tall in the pocket, delivered precise throws from clean mechanics, and relied on arm strength over mobility. Stewart's 6'1" frame and 218-pound build didn't match the prototype of taller, heavier quarterbacks who dominated the position. His scrambling ability and improvisational style were seen as flaws rather than strengths by teams that valued conventional pocket presence. The cultural clash between Stewart's college success and NFL expectations created immediate problems. Professional coaches wanted to mold him into their vision of what a quarterback should be instead of building around what he actually was. They tried to teach him to stay in the pocket longer, rely more on arm strength, and play a more traditional style that contradicted everything that made him successful. The league's preference for quarterbacks who fit a specific mold meant that players like Stewart faced constant pressure to change their natural instincts. Scouts questioned whether Stewart's skill set was best suited for the quarterback position, with some suggesting he would be better utilized at other positions. This skepticism reflected prevailing views where mobility and versatility weren't valued like they are today. The league operated under the assumption that unconventional quarterbacks couldn't succeed at the professional level, regardless of their college achievements. Stewart's college accomplishments meant nothing when NFL coaches tried to force him into conventional roles. His record-setting numbers, bowl victories, and clutch performances were dismissed as products of the college game that wouldn't translate to professional football. Teams drafted him based on his physical tools and college production, then immediately began trying to change everything about his playing style. The same improvisational ability that made him legendary at Colorado was seen as a liability that needed to be coached out of him. The NFL's inability to adapt to Stewart's strengths wasted years of his prime and created a player caught between two different visions of what he should become. For years, the league tried to change him into something he wasn't. The Steelers finally stopped resisting, and in 2001, everything clicked. For one season, we saw what Kordell Stewart could really be. In 2001, Kordell Stewart silenced every critic and proved what he could do when an NFL team finally built around his strengths instead of fighting against them. This was the season that showed the football world what Stewart had been capable of all along. The Pittsburgh Steelers finished with a 13-3 record, earned the top seed in the AFC, and Stewart received his first and only Pro Bowl selection while being named Team MVP. The Steelers' offense ranked third in the entire NFL, a remarkable achievement that demonstrated what happened when a coaching staff embraced Stewart's dual-threat abilities rather than trying to eliminate them. The transformation came through coordinator Mike Mularkey's revolutionary approach to utilizing Stewart's unique skill set. Mularkey designed an offensive system that incorporated quarterback draws and short passes as staples of the playbook, allowing Stewart to thrive in ways previous coordinators had never attempted. This wasn't about changing Stewart into a traditional pocket passer. Instead, Mularkey created a system that maximized Stewart's mobility, decision-making speed, and ability to create plays both with his arm and his legs. The coordinator understood that Stewart's greatest strength was his unpredictability, and he built an entire offensive philosophy around that concept. Stewart's statistical production in 2001 reflected this perfect marriage between player and system. He threw for 3,109 yards and 14 touchdowns with a passer rating of 81.7, numbers that represented solid quarterback play in an era when passing statistics were significantly lower than today's inflated figures. More importantly, Stewart showcased his rushing ability by gaining 537 yards and scoring 5 touchdowns on the ground. These rushing numbers weren't just cleanup statistics from scrambles and broken plays. They represented designed runs and quarterback draws that were integral parts of the Steelers' offensive attack. The perfect storm of talent surrounding Stewart made the 2001 season possible. Bettis powered the backfield with over 1,000 yards rushing, providing a powerful ground game that complemented Stewart's mobility. Hines Ward and Plaxico Burress both surpassed 1,000 receiving yards, creating a dynamic receiving core that gave Stewart multiple weapons through the air. Ward's tough physical style and ability to work over the middle paired perfectly with Burress's height and deep threat capability. This combination of talents created mismatches that Stewart could exploit through his decision-making and accuracy. With Bettis bulldozing defenses and Stewart breaking them, the Steelers became nearly impossible to stop. When defenses focused on stopping Bettis in the running game, Stewart could hurt them through the air to Ward and Burress. When teams committed extra defenders to coverage, Stewart could escape the pocket and create rushing lanes or extend plays with his legs. The Steelers became impossible to defend because they had multiple ways to attack defenses, and Stewart was the catalyst that made everything work. Stewart's teammates recognized the confidence and leadership he displayed throughout the 2001 campaign. Jerome Bettis noted that Stewart's confidence was back, and he was able to move on from mistakes, which was a key factor in the team's success. This mental approach represented a dramatic change from previous seasons when Stewart seemed burdened by the weight of criticism and unrealistic expectations. In 2001, he played with the freedom and natural instincts that had made him successful at Colorado. The tragic irony came in the playoffs when the Steelers' championship dreams ended against the New England Patriots in the AFC Championship game. The Patriots exploited special teams breakdowns for 2 touchdowns, and Stewart threw 3 interceptions in a disappointing loss. Despite the regular season success, this playoff failure would be used against Stewart in ways that completely ignored his outstanding individual performance throughout the year. One more game, and Kordell Stewart's story might have been completely different. But history isn't kind to almost. Stewart's peak performance in 2001 proved that the NFL had wasted years trying to change him instead of adapting to his unique talents. When given the right system and coaching support, he had led one of the league's most productive offenses and guided his team to the brink of a Super Bowl appearance. But even as Stewart was proving his worth, the league was already moving toward embracing the very qualities that had made him a target for criticism. So what if Stewart had come along 10 years later? Would he have been Lamar Jackson before Lamar Jackson? Kyler Murray with a stronger arm? The truth is, we'll never know. But what he did in 2001 still echoes today. The transformation had already begun, though few recognized it at the time. While Stewart faced criticism for his unconventional style, the NFL was slowly learning lessons that would reshape how teams approached the quarterback position. His career became an unintentional laboratory for understanding what dual-threat quarterbacks could accomplish when properly utilized, even as he endured the growing pains of being football's first true pioneer at the position. Stewart's influence on quarterback evolution runs deeper than most realize. The Fiesta Sports Foundation recognized him as a pioneer who fundamentally changed how the position could be played, acknowledging that his approach opened doors for future generations. His dual-threat seasons predated the league's embrace of read option schemes by a decade, proving concepts that would later become standard offensive packages across the NFL. The same mobility and improvisation skills that coaches tried to eliminate from Stewart's game became the foundation for modern quarterback development. The 2008 NFL retrospectives ranked Stewart as the league's 6th most versatile player, a recognition that highlighted his unique impact on the game. His ability to excel at multiple positions within the same game created a template that teams would eventually learn to maximize rather than minimize. The versatility that made him a target for criticism during his playing days became the standard for measuring quarterback value in the modern era. Stewart absorbed all the resistance that came with being the first of his kind, clearing a path for future quarterbacks who wouldn't face the same level of skepticism. He endured years of coaches trying to change his playing style, media questioning whether he was really a quarterback, and fans demanding he become more traditional. This resistance taught the league valuable lessons about how to handle unconventional quarterback talents. The painful transition period that Stewart's career represented was necessary for the NFL to evolve beyond its rigid positional thinking. Modern offensive coordinators now use concepts that Stewart proved could work, but with significantly better support systems and organizational commitment. Today's coordinators design entire offensive systems around mobile quarterbacks, something that never happened consistently during Stewart's career. These modern offenses give quarterbacks the freedom to use their legs as weapons rather than treating mobility as a backup plan. The same quick decision-making and dual-threat elements that made Stewart effective became the foundation for offensive innovation across the league. Jerome Bettis recognized Stewart's unique impact, noting that he had an amazing gift of speed coupled with a great football IQ. This combination of physical ability and mental processing created the template for modern dual-threat quarterbacks. Current players and coaches acknowledge Stewart's role in changing how the position is viewed, even if his contributions often go unrecognized in mainstream discussions about quarterback evolution. The league's acceptance of mobile quarterbacks didn't happen overnight, and Stewart's career represented the bridge between old-school thinking and modern adaptation. They mocked his style in the 90s. They're drafting it in the top 5 now. The bitter irony became impossible to ignore as the years passed. Stewart's playing style, which was considered a liability during his career, evolved into the standard for quarterback success. Teams began paying premium salaries for quarterbacks who possessed the same dual-threat abilities that Stewart had brought to the position 20 years earlier. He didn't fail as a quarterback. He was simply born into the wrong era of football before the league was ready to embrace what he represented. Stewart himself recognized this reality, acknowledging that he was a little ahead of my time, taking the hits and breaking down barriers so future players could thrive in systems built around their strengths. Today's NFL environment highly values Stewart's blend of arm and leg skills. Franchises now invest heavily in quarterbacks who can run, seeking the exact dual-threat abilities that made Stewart controversial during his career. The league that once criticized his improvisation now celebrates quarterbacks who create magic outside the pocket. Kordell Stewart didn't just play the game, he changed it. He just did it too soon. Thanks for watching. If you believe players like Stewart deserve more than just a footnote, hit that subscribe. This channel's built for the forgotten legends, and their stories are just getting started.